The last stand of humanity. The quantum lab hummed with an eerie resonance as Sarah Chen made the final adjustments to her experimental bridge. Outside, the night sky blazed with unnatural lights. The Crixus war fleet holding position just beyond Earth's atmosphere, their massive ships casting shadows over every major city across the globe. Sarah's fingers flew across the holographic interface, her dark eyes reflecting the cascade of data streaming before her. 20 years of research, countless sleepless nights, and humanity's last hopes all converged on this moment. The quantum bridge, her life's work, was either humanity's salvation or their final folly. Dr. Chen, we're detecting unusual energy fluctuations in sectors 7 through 12, called out Dr. Marcus Rivera from his monitoring station. The containment fields are holding, but barely. Sarah nodded, not taking her eyes off the calibration sequence. Compensating now. Redirect power from the auxiliary generators. Her voice remained steadied, despite the weight pressing down on her shoulders. 3 billion lives lost in the first wave of the Crixus invasion. Another 2 billion in the desperate years that followed. Now, with Earth's defenses crumbling, the remaining survivors had placed their faith in her wild theory about bridging dimensions. The lab shuddered as another Crixus bombardment struck the planetary shields. The massive facility, buried deep beneath the Himalayan mountains, had been humanity's best-kept secret. Until now, the enemy had finally tracked them down. Sarah, General Helena Walsh's voice cut through the tension. The military commander's weathered face appeared on the main view screen, her expression grim. Our sensors show they're preparing for another assault. The shields won't survive another barrage. Whatever you're planning to do with that machine of yours, it needs to happen now. Just a few more minutes, Sarah replied, her fingers dancing faster across the interface. The quantum harmonics aren't properly aligned. If we activate the bridge prematurely, a violent explosion rocked the facility, sending equipment crashing to the floor. Warning klaxons blared as red emergency lights bathed the lab in a crimson glow. We don't have a few more minutes, Helena shouted over the chaos. They've breached the outer perimeter. Security teams are engaging, but the transmission cut off in a burst of static. Sarah's heart raced as she made the final adjustments. The quantum bridge, a massive ring of iridescent metal and crystalline structures, began to pulse with an otherworldly light. Energy readings spiked off the charts as reality itself seemed to bend around the device. Dr. Chen, Marcus called out, his voice tight with fear. Multiple hostiles detected on level 3. Security protocols have failed. They're heading straight for us. Sarah took a deep breath, steeling herself for what came next. The bridge wasn't ready. The calculations weren't complete, but they were out of options. Everyone clear the lab, she ordered. I'll initiate the sequence myself. But Dr. Chen, that's an order. Get to the emergency bunkers. Now. As her team evacuated, Sarah's fingers flew across the controls one last time. The quantum bridge's resonance reached a fever pitch, its light almost blinding. Through the reinforced doors, she could hear the distinctive screech of Crixus energy weapons and the screams of dying defenders. With trembling hands, Sarah activated the final sequence. The bridge erupted with impossible light as space itself tore open before her. But something was wrong. The readings were nothing like her simulations. The tear in reality wasn't leading to another dimension of normal space. It was reaching somewhere else entirely. Before Sarah could abort the sequence, a wave of pure energy burst from the bridge. It washed over her like liquid lightning, every nerve ending singing with alien power. As consciousness slipped away, she caught a glimpse of something vast and ancient reaching through the tear, a beam of pure light and thought. The last thing Sarah heard before darkness claimed her was a voice unlike anything human, resonating not in her ears, but in the depths of her mind. What have you doing, child of Earth? The quantum bridge pulsed one final time, and Sarah Chen, humanity's last hope, vanished in a flash of impossible light, leaving behind a lab full of mysteries and a planet on the brink of extinction. But this was not the end of her story. It was merely the beginning. The dance with destiny. Consciousness returned to Sarah like scattered fragments of light, each moment a crystal shard piecing itself back together. She floated in a vast space that defied comprehension, a realm where thought and matter intertwined, where colors had sound and emotions took physical form. Around her, beings of pure energy danced through the void, their forms shifting and flowing like auroras. They moved with purpose and grace, maintaining patterns that seemed to hold reality itself together. At their center, a presence of overwhelming power and ancient wisdom held court. Queen Aethera of the Luminary. Your arrival was unexpected. The Queen's thoughts resonated through Sarah's mind. The being's form coalesced into something almost comprehensible, a towering figure of living light, crowned with streams of cosmic energy. In all our eons of existence, no species has ever breached the barriers between realms so clumsily. Sarah tried to speak, but in this place, thought and communication were one. Her mind projected images of Earth, of the Crixus invasion, of billions dead and humanity on the brink of extinction. We had no choice. Our world. Your desperation echoes through the void, Aethera interrupted. But in your reckless attempt to save your kind, you have created something far more dangerous. The Queen's form rippled with concern, sending waves of disquiet through the surrounding luminary. Through their connected consciousness, Sarah saw what the Queen meant. Her quantum bridge hadn't just pierced the veil between dimensions, it had created a permanent link between physical space and the luminary's realm. Energy flowed both ways through this connection, destabilizing both realities. The Nexus Crystal, Aethera continued, directing Sarah's attention to a massive crystalline structure that pulsed at the heart of their realm. The anchor point of our existence, the source of our power to maintain the cosmic balance. Your bridge has disrupted its harmonics. Already, the damage spreads. Horror filled Sarah as she watched fracture lines spreading through the crystal, each crack sending shockwaves of chaos through both realities. On Earth, these manifests as devastating quantum storms. In the luminary realm, entire regions of space-time began to unravel. I didn't know. Sarah's thoughts rang with genuine remorse. Is there any way to repair the damage? The Queen's form shifted, approaching Sarah with an intensity that made her consciousness tremble. There is one possibility, but the price would be steep. Your human mind, your understanding of physical space. These could be valuable in stabilizing the connection. But such service would require a binding commitment. Through their mental link, Sarah understood what the Queen was suggesting. The luminary could teach her to harness their energy, to help maintain the balance between realms. But such power could not be given freely. It required absolute dedication, unwavering loyalty, and most importantly, time. How long? Sarah asked, already suspecting the answer. A millennium of service, Aethera replied. 1,000 years to learn our ways, to help repair what was broken, to bridge the gap between our kinds. Sarah's mind reeled at the implications. 1,000 years of service to these energy beings, while Earth faced imminent destruction. But as she processed the Queen's offer, she began to see possibilities, ways this arrangement could potentially save both civilizations. And if I refuse? The Queen's form darkened, casting shadows through the void. Then both our realms face collapse. Your Earth will be torn apart by quantum storms. Our realm will dissolve into chaos. Billions more will perish. Sarah thought of her team back in the lab, of General Walsh, and the desperate defenders. She thought of humanity's last stand against the Crixus, and of the impossible choice before her. But then, another thought surfaced. What if this was never just about saving Earth? What if her quantum bridge had led her exactly where she needed to be? I accept, Sarah projected, her thoughts firm with resolve. I will serve as bridge between our kinds, learn your ways, and help repair what I've damaged. But I have one condition. The surrounding luminary pulsed with surprise at her audacity. Even Queen Aethera seemed taken aback. "You dare place conditions on your service?" "I do." Sarah's consciousness expanded, sharing her vision of possibility. The Crixus threaten not just Earth, but the stability of physical space itself. Their weapons, their technology, they create the same kind of dimensional distortions that my bridge caused. If they aren't stopped, they'll eventually find their way here too. Understanding rippled through the assembled luminary. Queen Aethera's form shifted, considering Sarah's words. "You propose an exchange then. Your service for our aid against these Crixus." "I propose a partnership," Sarah corrected. "Earth's survival, your realm's stability, and a chance to protect both our kinds from a common enemy." For what felt like an eternity, Queen Aethera studied Sarah's consciousness, probing the depths of her commitment and the truth of her words. Finally, the ancient being came to a decision. "Very well, Sarah Chen of Earth, your 1,000 years begin now. Let us hope your human perspective brings the wisdom we need. For all our sakes." As the Queen's consciousness enveloped her, beginning the transformation that would allow her to channel luminary energy, Sarah felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. She had come seeking a way to save Earth, and instead found herself bound to beings of pure energy for a millennium. But as the power began to flow through her, reshaping her understanding of reality itself, Sarah smiled inwardly. Sometimes, the longest way around was the shortest way home. The price of power. Time flowed differently in the luminary realm. What felt like moments to Sarah stretched into weeks in physical space, yet simultaneously seemed to compress centuries of knowledge into mere heartbeats. The transformation was excruciating. Not physically, for she no longer had a true physical form, but mentally and spiritually as her consciousness expanded to accommodate her new reality. Queen Aethera proved to be both a demanding teacher and an enigmatic mentor. "Focus," the ancient being commanded as Sarah struggled to maintain her form, her essence threatening to dissolve into the surrounding energy streams. "Your human desire to categorize and contain everything works against you here. You must learn to flow, to exist in all states simultaneously." Sarah's consciousness flickered as she attempted to process the Queen's teachings. Around her, the vast expanse of the luminary realm pulsed with power that both attracted and repelled her transformed essence. The Nexus crystal loomed in the distance, its fractures now visibly spreading despite the constant efforts of countless luminary to maintain its stability. "I don't understand," Sarah projected, her thoughts tinged with frustration. "How can I exist in all states when I can barely maintain one?" "Your understanding of existence is still too linear," Aethera responded, her own form shifting to encompass Sarah's struggling consciousness. "You think of yourself as a single point moving through time and space, but here, you must be the point, the movement, and the space itself." Through their connected awareness, Aethera shared glimpses of what she meant. Sarah experienced existence from a luminary perspective. Every possible state of being occurring simultaneously, each moment eternal yet fleeting. The sensation overwhelmed her, threatening to shatter her sense of self. But in that moment of near dissolution, Sarah found something unexpected, a framework she could understand. "It's like quantum superposition," she realized, her scientific mind bridging the gap between human comprehension and luminary reality. Multiple states existing simultaneously until observed or interacted with. Queen Aethera's form brightened with approval. "Yes, you begin to understand. Now, apply this principle to your own existence." Sarah focused, allowing her consciousness to expand while maintaining its core identity. Instead of fighting against the multiple states of being, she embraced them, letting herself exist across several planes of reality at once. For a brief moment, she achieved perfect harmony with the energy streams around her. The victory was short-lived. A massive disturbance rippled through the realm, causing Sarah to lose her concentration and snap back to a single state. Through the quantum link that now connected her to this place, she felt the source of the disruption. Another Crixus attack on Earth, their weapons tearing holes in the fabric of space-time. The damage spreads faster than we can repair it, Aethera observed, her thoughts heavy with concern. Your kind's war reverberates through all planes of existence. Sarah's consciousness roiled with guilt and determination. Then teach me faster. Show me how to help both our realms. Patience, the Queen cautioned. Rush this transformation, and you risk losing yourself entirely. Many before you have tried to harness our power. None have survived with their original essence intact. Others? Sarah's attention sharpened. There have been others who attempted this. Aethera's form dimmed slightly, a gesture Sarah had come to recognize as reluctance. Throughout the ages, various beings have stumbled upon our realm, some by accident, others through deliberate experimentation. All believed they could master our energy, bend it to their will. Their remains still drift through the void, their consciousness scattered across infinite dimensions. What made them fail? Sarah asked, though she suspected she already knew the answer. Pride. Greed. The belief that power can be taken rather than earned. The Queen's form expanded, surrounding Sarah in a display of both protection and warning. They sought to control rather than understand, to dominate rather than harmonize. Sarah absorbed this information, adding it to her growing understanding of luminary existence. And that's why you required a 1,000-year commitment. This isn't just about service. It's about complete transformation. Yes, Aethera confirmed. To truly bridge our realms, you must become something entirely new. Neither fully human nor truly luminary, but a synthesis of both. It is a path of immense difficulty and sacrifice. Through their connected consciousness, Sarah caught glimpses of what this transformation would entail. The process would strip away everything she thought she knew about existence, rebuild her understanding from the quantum level up. She would experience every possible version of herself across infinite dimensions, hold them all in her mind simultaneously, and learn to navigate between them at will. The enormity of the task before her was overwhelming. Yet, as another shockwave from the Crixus attack rippled through the realm, Sarah steeled her resolve. She had accepted this burden to save Earth, but now she understood that the scope of her mission was far greater. The Crixus weren't just threatening humanity. Their actions endangered the very fabric of reality itself. I'm ready, she projected, her consciousness stabilizing with newfound determination. Show me everything. Queen Aethera's form pulsed with approval and something else. Was it hope? Then let us begin your true training. Remember, Sarah Chen, power is not merely about ability. It is about understanding the consequences of every action across all planes of existence. As the Queen began sharing deeper mysteries of luminary existence, Sarah felt herself changing, expanding, becoming something more than she ever imagined possible. But beneath it all, she held on to her core purpose, finding a way to save both her old world and her new one from the forces that threatened to tear reality apart. The price of power, she was learning, was not just in its acquisition, but in how one chose to use it. Worlds apart. 100 years passed in the blink of a cosmic eye. Sarah Chen no longer existed as she once had. Her consciousness now flowed through multiple dimensions simultaneously, her essence a bridge between physical reality and the pure energy state of the luminary. Yet within this transformed state, she maintained a core of stubborn humanity that both frustrated and intrigued Queen Aethera. Your approach to healing the Nexus crystal is unconventional, the Queen observed as Sarah wove streams of quantum energy in patterns that mimicked Earth's double helix DNA structure. The fractures in the crystal responded differently to these configurations, sealing themselves in ways the luminary had never seen before. DNA replicates and repairs itself, Sarah explained, her thoughts rippling through multiple planes of existence. I thought the principle might apply here, given that the crystal is essentially the genetic code of your realm. Around them, other luminary observed with a mixture of curiosity and concern. Sarah's methods challenged their ancient understanding of energy manipulation. Some saw this as progress, others as potential heresy, but none could deny the results. The crystal's deterioration had slowed significantly under her care. Yet even as she worked, Sarah's awareness remained partially focused on Earth. Through the quantum bridge she had created, she could sense the ongoing war with the Crixus. Humanity had gained a temporary reprieve when the quantum storms forced the invaders to pull back, but the alien fleet remained in orbit, probing for weaknesses in Earth's defenses. "Your attention wanders," Aethera noted, her form shifting with something like concern. "After a century, you still cling to your former existence." "I cling to my purpose," Sarah corrected, her consciousness pulsing with determination. "The Crixus threat grows. Their weapons tear larger holes in spacetime with each attack. Soon, not even your realm will be safe." The Queen's energy pattern shifted, acknowledging the truth in Sarah's words. The Crixus technology had evolved, their weapons now capable of creating localized areas where physical laws broke down completely. Each such disruption sent shockwaves through the luminary realm, adding new stress to the already damaged Nexus crystal. "We observe," Aethera stated, "but we cannot intervene directly in physical space. It is not our way." "Then teach me to intervene," Sarah pressed. "I exist in both realms now. I could be your instrument." "You propose crossing boundaries that have existed since the dawn of consciousness." The Queen's form darkened with warning. The consequences of inaction will be worse," Sarah interrupted, projecting images of possible futures she had glimpsed during her training. Realities where the Crixus dimensional weapons shattered the barriers between realms completely, where both physical space and the energy plane collapsed into chaos. Before Aethera could respond, a massive disturbance rocked their realm. The Nexus crystal flared with blinding intensity as new fractures appeared along its surface. Through her connection to physical space, Sarah sensed the cause. The Crixus had deployed a new weapon, one that didn't just tear holes in reality, but actively drained energy from other dimensions. "They're evolving." Sarah's thoughts rang with urgency. "Learning to harness the very forces they don't understand. If we don't act, we..." Aethera's form expanded, her power filling the space around them. "Remember your oath, Sarah Chen. 1,000 years of service. You are bound to our laws, our ways. I am bound to protect both our realms," Sarah countered, her transformed consciousness holding firm against the Queen's display of power. "You taught me to see across all planes of existence, to understand the interconnected nature of reality. Well, I understand now that isolation is no longer an option. The Crixus threaten everything, your realm included." The surrounding luminary pulsed with agitation at her defiance. But Sarah wasn't finished. Her consciousness expanded, sharing the knowledge she had gained over her century of service. She showed them how the quantum bridge technology could be modified, how luminary energy could be channeled safely into physical space through properly prepared conduits. "I'm not asking you to fight their war," she projected. "I'm asking you to help me prevent the collapse of both our realms. Let me show you how." For what seemed like an eternity, Queen Aethera remained silent, her vast consciousness probing the possibilities Sarah presented. Finally, her form shifted into a new configuration, one that resonated with both approval and concern. "Show us," the Queen commanded. "But remember, Sarah Chen, if your methods bring destruction rather than salvation, your 1,000 years of service will become an eternity of imprisonment." Sarah's transformed essence pulsed with determination. She had spent a century learning to bridge worlds, to exist in multiple states of being. Now it was time to put that knowledge to use. As she began sharing her plans with the assembled luminary, she felt a familiar emotion cutting through her transformed consciousness. Hope. The war for reality itself was about to enter a new phase, and humanity's greatest weapon would not be found in physics or technology, but in the ability to bridge the gap between different forms of existence. Sarah Chen, once a quantum physicist, now something far more, would show both humanity and the luminary what was possible when boundaries were crossed with understanding rather than force. Breaking chains. The moment of convergence arrived sooner than anyone expected. Sarah's consciousness stretched across multiple dimensions as she monitored the Crixus fleet's latest assault on Earth. Their new weapons carved void black holes in reality, each blast sending catastrophic ripples through both physical space and the luminary realm. They've weaponized dimensional collapse, she projected to Queen Aethera, their consciousness intertwined as they observed the battle. Every shot tears away at the fundamental structure of both our realms. The Nexus crystal pulsed with increasing instability, its fractures now glowing with dangerous energy. Around them, the gathered luminary worked frantically to maintain the barriers between dimensions, but Sarah could sense their growing exhaustion. Your solution carries great risk, Aethera responded, her form shifting with concern. To channel our energy through your quantum bridges, to directly intervene in physical space, it violates fundamental laws of existence. The laws are already being violated, Sarah countered, her transformed consciousness expanding to encompass the full scope of the crisis. The Crixus don't care about the proper order of things. They'll tear reality apart in their quest for power. Through their shared awareness, Sarah showed the Queen what she had discovered during her centuries of study. The Crixus weren't just an invading force. They were dimensional parasites, consuming the energy of one reality after another. Earth wasn't their first target, merely their latest. Look, Sarah projected, sharing visions of dead dimensions they had left behind. Realms collapsed into singular points of infinite density. This is what awaits both our worlds if we don't act. The Queen's vast consciousness roiled with conflicting emotions, concern for her realm's safety, reluctance to break ancient traditions, and a growing understanding of the truth in Sarah's words. A massive shockwave rocked the energy plane as another Crixus weapon detonated in physical space. New cracks appeared in the Nexus crystal, spreading like lightning through its structure. The barrier between realms grew dangerously thin. We have no choice, Sarah insisted. Let me implement the protocol. I can create a network of quantum bridges, allow controlled amounts of luminary energy to flow into physical space. We can use their own tactics against them. And if we lose control, Aethera challenged. If the power flow becomes unstable, then both realms fall, Sarah acknowledged. But we fall fighting rather than waiting for the end. Sometimes the only way to preserve order is to challenge it. The Queen's form pulsed with something like amusement. You remain stubbornly human, despite your transformation. Always pushing boundaries, questioning traditions. That's exactly why you needed me, Sarah responded. A bridge between worlds, between ways of thinking. Now let me prove it was worth it. After what seemed like an eternity but was merely a moment in multiple dimensions, Queen Aethera made her decision. Her consciousness expanded, touching all the assembled luminary, sharing Sarah's plan through their collective awareness. Begin, she commanded. Sarah's transformed essence surged into action. Centuries of training culminated in this moment as she wove quantum bridges throughout physical space, creating a vast network of energy conduits. Through these carefully constructed pathways, she began channeling luminary power into reality. The effect was immediate and devastating. Where Crixus weapons created holes in space-time, Sarah's network filled them with controlled bursts of dimensional energy. Their reality-eating weapons backfired, the destructive force turning inward on their own ships. But the strain was enormous. Sarah's consciousness flickered as she struggled to maintain the power flow, to keep the bridges stable. Through it all, she felt Queen Aethera's presence supporting her, helping her balance on the knife edge between order and chaos. The Crixus fleet, faced with weapons they couldn't comprehend, began to retreat. But Sarah wasn't finished. Drawing on her deepest reserves, she used the quantum network to send a message directly into their ship systems, a warning written in the language of physics itself. This realm is protected, it read in fluctuations of quantum energy, by humanity and forces beyond your understanding. Return and face annihilation. As the alien fleet flooded into deep space, Sarah felt her consciousness beginning to fade. The effort of maintaining the quantum network had drained her completely. She began to dissolve, her essence spreading across dimensions. But Queen Aethera's power wrapped around her, holding her together. Your 1,000 years are complete, the ancient being declared. You have served not just our realm, but all of reality. You are free. Sarah's awareness stabilized, but she realized she could never return to what she had been. She existed now as something unique, not human, not luminary, but a true bridge between realms. Freedom, she projected, her consciousness resonating with newfound purpose, doesn't mean our work is done. The barriers between our realms need maintenance. The Crixus might return. And there are other threats out there, in dimensions we haven't even discovered. Then stay, Aethera offered, not as a servant, but as an equal. Help us prepare for whatever comes next. Sarah's transformed essence pulsed with agreement. She had begun this journey seeking to save Earth, but found something far greater, a way to protect all of reality, to bridge the gap between different forms of existence. As she resumed her work on the Nexus crystal, now as a partner rather than a servant, Sarah reflected on the long journey that had brought her here. She had broken the chains of traditional thinking in both human and luminary society, creating something entirely new in the process. The universe, she had learned, didn't care about maintaining comfortable boundaries. Sometimes, the only way forward was to break them down and build something better in their place.